We about ready? Welcome, everybody. Really glad to see everybody here. Welcome to Seattle. The first thing you'll notice is that the guide booklet that you've got says there were going to be two presenters today, Brian Welker and myself, Tom Patton. And I'm sad to inform you that Brian's not going to make it here today. Brian is our group program manager for service industries functionality, and this is a guy who's really passionate about customers. And he had the opportunity to go visit two customers at one time, two Dynamics customers at one time out in New York. Of course, that would be the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks. So, you know, that customer passion sometimes gets in the way of presenting things like this, so it will just be me today. I just got word, actually, that he is stranded in New York from a snowstorm now, so all kinds of crazy stuff going on in New York. My name's Tom Patton. I'm a program manager on the Dynamics AX engineering team, the team that focuses on service industry functionality. And I've been with Microsoft for about 11 years now, about the last 5.5 with the AX team. And I'm really happy to be able to show you what we've done in the 2012 R3 release of AX as it pertains to service industries. I'm going to be giving you a kind of a walkthrough of all the different features that we've got. There are drill down sessions on all these topics, so I'll try to mention those as we go along if you're interested to get more detail on these items. So before we get started and looking at the individual investments that we've made in R3, let's level set a little bit on service industry. So first of all, how many of you consider yourself members of a service industry? If you're a partner, you should be raising your hand. Hopefully you'll all be using Dynamics AX to run your businesses. How many of you are focused on servicing customers in service industries domain? That's great to see. We've had a lot of great success in service industries over the last few years, and we're building a lot of momentum and capabilities there. And the way we approach it in terms of prioritization and thinking about what features we need to consider and build is really targeting these three segments within service industries. So professional services, this is companies that are like you if you're a partner organization, engaged in delivering either technical services, legal services, or other professional service sorts of delivery. Architecture, engineering, construction is sort of our second bucket of focus. And then media and entertainment, we've had a lot of great wins in this space for people who are preparing and delivering advertising campaigns and such to various organizations. And across all of these, we see that there's a big ecosystem of organizations that are working together to deliver these capabilities, and they all have a lot of the same kind of characteristics in terms of being very focused on human capital management. One of their biggest assets, of course, is their individual people that they're applying to the projects that are making their revenues. And there's a lot of collaboration, teamwork, and management that's going on in the business processes across all these different industries. We also focus on sort of the different personas within these industries, and there's some commonality across. You see different terminology and whatnot across the individual industries, but at the end of the day, somebody's out there trying to make sales, trying to create accurate and quick quotations. The account manager is also interested in maintaining relationships with customers, making sure that they're able to deliver what they promised and all of these sorts of actions. Project management, we've done a lot of investments. You saw some in the keynote today for project managers. And what they really need to do is leverage organizational insights into the kinds of projects they deliver from past projects and be able to spin up something, form a team, and get going on that work effectively. And they need to be able to keep their finger on the pulse of the financial aspects of the project as you go along, making sure that they're adhering to budgetary limits and whatnot. Another thing you saw Babak show in the keynote today is really about collaboration and mobility. So these are areas that we've made some good investments on in R3, but our team members are out there, especially in professional services world or media and entertainment, maybe less so in some regards for AEC, but there are a lot of self-service capabilities out there, people who are out there implementing your projects. They need a central hub to collaborate with, and they need to be able to access business functions while they're in a mobile situation. And then practice management. This function is sort of the executive function in service industries that we look at, and there's some sessions that you can go to this week that will show some new capabilities we have in terms of being able to monitor your KPIs and get insight into the financial performance of your project portfolio. Another thing before we get into individual features and capabilities, I just wanted to focus on some of the themes. So themes that we're trying to bring out in R3 and really on an ongoing basis. Hal today mentioned the evolution of ERP as being a system of record to being sort of a more involved in the business process and the work that's getting done. And that's really something we've tried to do a lot with here in R3. So moving from more of an accounting only focus to get more of an operational aspect to the system that is more appealing and natural to use for team members and project managers. Supporting global organizations, so there's a lot of interest in larger organizations in Dynamics AX, and we've seen a lot of big wins in the service industries vertical, and that brings with it a set of unique characteristics in terms of, for instance, intercompany capabilities that we'll walk through. Mobility and team collaboration, I mentioned clearly, the workforce is mobile. And these professional services and service industries in general really require good collaboration and mobility basics. And that's really something we can do to build on the fundamentals that we have as Microsoft through Office 365 and other assets that we have. And then the fourth one really is integration with other Microsoft services. So if you think about all of these items, whether it's mobility or collaboration, the ability for us to leverage those other Microsoft services and capabilities is another area that we're focusing on. So with that, let's take a look at what we consider sort of the canonical process in service industries from quote to cash. I've broken it down here into 4 areas and kind of tried to align the functions that we see with the personas that we just discussed. And what I'm going to do, hopefully in the remaining time here, is get through one end-to-end demonstration that's going to highlight the features that we've added in R3, as well as give you a flavor for what we have in service industries in general. So I'll be touching on some stuff that is not new to R3. So how many people have played with either CU7 or R3 releases in here? Okay, so you guys know what I'm talking about. How many people... Well, actually, let's just get down to the demonstration. So let's focus first on the sales and marketing world. And for that, I'm going to start off in Dynamics CRM. So in CRM, really, we're talking about the account management function here. And what I'm going to start to sort of lay the foundation for this demonstration is with the opportunity management process that Kevin, our salesperson, is going through with a new prospect. And that new prospect is cycle sales and delivery, or cycle sales and repair. And he's working currently on an opportunity to deliver them a new business intelligence system. Now, why is Kevin in this tool in the first place? He wants to manage his contacts, his calendars, his activities, and all his interactions with the prospects and customers and guide them through that sales process. But at some point in the opportunity management process, he needs help from the delivery team so that they can fulfill and estimate and quote out the project. So what we've done in 2012 R3, if you look at our BI implementation opportunity that's being worked on, you can see that he has started to flesh this out. Let's see. He's fleshing out this opportunity, and at the point that he's actually building his quotation, it's time that he gets some help from the delivery team. And so he's able to use now in Dynamics CRM the product list and the pricing information that's coming from Dynamics AX. And then once he builds that initial quotation, he's going to get visibility of that same quotation over in Dynamics AX as it is in Dynamics CRM. So let's switch over here to Prakash's view, or our project manager, who would see the same quotation that has come in for cycle sales and repair, and now his job is going to be to start fleshing this out and understanding what are going to be the costs, what's going to be the schedule, how am I going to plan out this project. So really, here what we're focusing on is that synchronization between the quotation and the projects that are being executed on between CRM, which is our account manager's tool, and AX. Once that integration has happened, it's time to kind of form or initiate that project. So let's start looking into that process. So like I said, here's my quotation in Dynamics AX. And what I want to do now is start to estimate this project. We do a lot of these kind of BI implementations at Contoso. And so what I'm going to first do is work with the new work breakdown structure form to estimate the project. Now this, for those of you who are familiar with the prior work breakdown structure, is a big change. We've got a lot of enhancements here, and we'll be doing a session on this just after lunch that shows you some more of the details. But let me go ahead and import a template of our BI implementation task list that's going to come in here to AX and form the basis of my quotation. All right. So you'll see now we have a hierarchical WBS editing experience. So we've got the ability to open up these and see the detailed estimates. And for instance, if I need to make some adjustments, so typically if we say, a normal BI implementation is going to require these tasks, these number of resources, this amount of effort, and this also includes our ability to estimate any expenses or item requirements that we have to fulfill this project. So for instance, when I look at the third phase of my BI implementation project, the delivery of that to the customer, you can see that in our estimations, we've covered our estimated travel expenses. And when we look at developing our training assets, we've got some ability to purchase some Hyper-V images to rent to be able to perform that training aspect. So all that estimation is included here in my hierarchical WBS. Now typically, that's not going to be the same repeatable process every time. So there's going to need to be some customization that goes on in this quotation process. And so let's just see how we could do that. If I focus in here on my implementation phase, and let's say I'm working with my customer and they're like, well, this is great. One of our big concerns is that our data is just not matching up. There's a lot of duplication in our system, and we need to have some data cleansing as a part of this BI implementation. So it's easy for a project manager now to come in and just create a new task. And so let's say I'm going to do some data cleansing. And I need to schedule this task, and I want to add a dependency. So dependencies are a new aspect of the WBS here. And let's say I need to finish the data cleansing is going to occur anytime after the complete phase of analysis and design is complete. And I'm going to classify this as app dev project category as far as its cost goes. And it's going to take me about 20 hours. And as I'm talking with the customer and hearing the nature of their scenarios, I decide I need to go ahead and soft book a resource right now and reserve that specific resource for this project because she has special capabilities in cleaning up dirty data. So we don't have any users on our project yet, or any employees or workers. So let me go ahead and add one using the new resource view that also you saw in this morning's keynote. So the resources view, we've done a lot of work here to make it flexible to go out and find qualified resources that you need for your project. So that really means a combination of two things. One, does that resource have the right skill set? And two, is that resource available? And so what you'll see here is let me get a better view where you can see some people who are booked. We're looking at this specific time slice here, Thursday, February 13th through the 17th, which is where our task has been scheduled. And we're seeing all of the workers that have been chosen for this task. Now, I can look at their availability and see what their remaining capacity is here. So for instance, all these dark blue guys, they're pretty much, they have some bookings already. The green guys are totally available, and our red folks are already overbooked, so they've expended all of their capacity. I can drill in and look at all sorts of different criteria here in terms of adding skills, say, oh, only show me people who have analytics skills, or only show me people who can speak French. Their certifications, past experience, or whether they've played this role on prior projects. I can also limit my search by legal entity or department or other capabilities to zoom in on the right resources. In this case, like I mentioned, I know who I want. Oops. I think I know who I want. Actually, yeah, Catherine Autier. She is a specialist in dirty data. Now, you'll notice that Catherine, I'm running this project out of the USSI, or United States Consulting Organization, and she is coming from a different legal entity here, FRSI. So we're able to resource across those legal entity boundaries, and we'll see later how that is reflected when we get to the invoicing component. So let's go ahead and softbook her full capacity and close this out. So now I've taken a standard quotation, I've manipulated it so that it fits the requirements of this unique opportunity. I've soft booked some hours, and I'm ready to go through the process of approving it. So first of all, let's take our quote lines and bring them into the quotation. So I'm not going to show this all hooked up together. I frankly don't have it hooked up together for this demonstration, but these lines are going back to Dynamics CRM so that the salesperson is in the loop on this whole situation. The first step that I need to do, though, before we let Kevin move forward with the sales engagement is get internal approval. Oh, gosh, you know what I didn't do? I just got to do this real quick. Nobody's ever done this before in a demo, have they? Yes, workflow processor. Oops. Okay. So first we need to get internal approval for our quotation. So I'm going to submit this to workflow. This is the opportunity for the delivery team to say, hey, are we set here? Is this the right plan? Have we missed anything? So before we move forward with the customer, let's go ahead and ensure that that's taken care of. The next step here is to actually send the quotation out to the customer. So typically what would happen is once we firm up here, this would happen in Dynamics CRM, and they'd actually extend that offer to the customer, and the fact that it would be confirmed or accepted by the customer would come back to AX. I'm going to go ahead and perform that action here and just send the quotation from within AX. Okay. And then we've extended that out to the customer, and once they have accepted that quotation and we're ready to do some business together, we'll confirm it here. Okay, so we have gone ahead and initiated our project. Actually, I have one more step that I'll do in a minute. But we created our quotation, we got our internal approval, we've confirmed it with the customer, and we're ready to move forward. We've got an agreement on both sides. So let's go ahead then and transfer the WBS that we've created here into a real project. All right, so we're going to use a brand new project, and it's going to be time and material based project that we've agreed on. And I'm going to enter into a new contract here. And in my contract, we've made some agreements in how we're going to handle this, this engagement. So the first thing we've done is we've said, okay, we went through our estimations. I guess I could show you the WBS and show you how much costs and revenues we're expecting to get from here. But the client has said, look, we're really going to do this on a time and material basis, but we want to cap it at $150,000. And the internal IT consulting practices said, that's cool. This is, we need a win in this domain so that we can use it as a reference account. Let's go ahead and, if we exceed that cap, we'll cover that funding internally, and then we can negotiate with them if we need to maybe release that and go ahead and invoice that extra amount. So what I'm going to do in my funding sources here is add an on-hold account associated with the management consulting practice. And I'm going to go ahead and add a funding limit to the customer in the amount of $150,000. So that's one aspect of my contractual agreement that has been discussed as we firm up things here. The second one is that the customer is going to retain 10% of their payment until the entire project's complete. So we'll go ahead and use the customer retention here and set that and say, okay, when I give you the invoices until we're all done, you can keep 10% of your money. Okay. So continuing through the conversion process here, we're going to take all the work that we did up front in our WBS and change that into our project forecast. We're going to take the item requirement that we had, that we need some training materials to buy from another company. We're going to move that into our item requirements so we can procure those during the course of the project. And then we're going to finish off here. Okay, so that really takes care of project initiation. We've got a base contract in place. We've got our customer retention set. We've got our funding limit articulated. And we've got our plan in place. So let's go ahead and move into the execution phase. Oops. All right. Oops. So here I am, cycle sales and repair. That's my new project. And before we get going and actually start buying things and spending money and all that kind of stuff, let's go ahead and baseline our budget. I'm going to come into the Plan tab and establish a budget here. And we've added a new capability here in R3 to be able to generate that directly from the estimates. So I did populate project forecasts in here, but my objective here is to take it from my estimations. So as I use the work breakdown structure and I'm putting in my costs and my expenses and my items, we're able to then form the budget directly off that without using forecast models. So I'm going to say OK here. That's going to pull in all those estimate lines. And again, submit this for approval. So they're thinking about it. Okay, I guess they approved it. Okay, let's take care of a little more house cleaning here. I'm going to take myself as the project manager and say Wendy Richardson was my salesperson on this project. And you can see here that as I get started, when we were in the quotation phase, we said, hey, we need some of Catherine's time. And so she's got this little asterisk here indicating that she's got soft book time on this project. Let's go ahead and confirm those reservations. So I'll confirm the hours. So we do actually want her time. And then I'm going to change her role here from team member to software developer. So she's going to be doing software development. So this all is a new tab in CU7/R3. And you can define your own roles that are suitable to your organization. That role is going to have a bundle of skills associated with it. So when you go out and do that search and say, find me a new software developer, it'll know the right either past roles that you've played or skills that you need to have that. Let's go ahead and continue adding people to our team. So we'll add a project manager. Okay, we're just going to take the first project manager available. That looks like Linda. So let's go ahead and hard book her full capacity. and close this up. And finally, we did some fine-tuning of the plan when we were in the quotation phase, but sometimes, actually, when you get down to business and need to deliver the project, plans can change. So let's make some changes to our existing plan, but this time, let's do that in Microsoft Project. So I'm going to take the same work breakdown structure that we started with. We started as a template. We moved it into a quote. We transferred it into our project. And now we're going to open that up directly in the Microsoft Project client and do some additional fine-tuning here. So again, as Babak mentioned today, this is not using Project Server. This is new integration that we're introducing in CU7 or R3, and it's directly opening the client and communicating between the AOS and the client and the project client itself. So there's a number of new capabilities we'll have. There's a session right after lunch that'll dive into the details of this. But here I can see the same structure that I had, and now I can use whatever capabilities I want to use in the project client to make my project a little more exciting. I can add these to the timeline. I'm going to share this later with my team so they can see that and be on the same page with me. I can go ahead and do some assignments of my tasks. So you see that if I drop this guy down, I've got the same resources that I've been adding to my team. So let's go ahead and add Linda for these tasks. And Catherine can take care of the rest. And when we're finished here, we can go ahead and publish this back. So just a quick overview here. You can open existing projects in the project client. You can publish them either to quotations or templates or in-flight processes like what we're doing here. And then you can go look up resources from within the project client and add them directly into your project and have all the reservation systems, all the reservations handled by AX. Okay, while that's going, let's get rolling here. So first thing I need to do is put my project into in process. So now that we're done planning, done staffing, done with the contract, we're actually moving forward on the project. And the first thing I need to do is ask for a customer advance. So we talked about the contract. We're going to do some customer retention. So we're not going to require that they pay all the money until the project is delivered. We put a cap on things, and we also agreed that they would pay us a $5,000 or a 10% advance on the project as we estimated it. So if I come in here and say add the 10%, select these guys, I can see that's going to be $14,000. Hit OK. And this is going to prepare the invoice. I'll just go ahead and post the invoice. Okay, so I've got my advance, and I'm ready to start getting down to business. The first thing I'm going to do is I need to buy those VM images that are going to help me deliver the training. So if I come back to my item requirements, you remember in the original estimations in the original template, I had specified that I need to purchase this. So let's go ahead and take care of that here. So first I'm going to create a PO from this requirement for my training services. I'm going to choose a vendor. And my favorite vendor for delivering training environments is the Distant Inn. Include this and create the PO. Now this session was called A Day in the Life of a Project Manager, and this really usually takes more than a day in the real world. But let's say a bunch of days went by, and so I have my PO, and I'm going to go ahead and I get notification back from the Distant Inn, hey, your VMs are ready, check out, make sure they work. So I log into my VMs, they're all looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and mark them as received. So well, actually, first I need to confirm my purchase order. So I'll go ahead and say, yep, we really are going to buy these VMs as a part of this project. I think my server went to a Super Bowl party yesterday. A little sluggish today. Yeah, sure. So the question is there some difference? What are the differences between CU7 and R3? There are some new capabilities in the intercompany invoicing area in R3. What else? But I think a lot of it is more instability and performance, and we're continuing to go that way with R3. You know, some of these lags you're seeing, we're continuing to still work on in R3. But in terms of functional capabilities, we added the earned value management charts and metrics to the cube. Anything else you can remember? Oh, yeah. Okay, I don't know what's happening here. Okay. So we verified that things look good, so let's go ahead and mark these as having been received. They've delivered on their commitment to us. So I'm mark the ordered quantity, so all the ones that I asked for actually have been provisioned and verified. Oh, yes. Yeah. The packing slip for my VMs, well, I guess verified VMs. There we go. Okay, and finally, let's go ahead and receive the vendor invoice. So we planned what we needed, we ordered what we needed, we received what we needed. Now, I guess we have to pay for what we needed. So we can see we've been invoiced for 50. Oops, I need another number, don't I? Received an invoice number ABC, and sure, we'll go ahead and pay that. Okay, while that's posting, what else do we have going on in our organization besides buying stuff? We have teamwork going on. So like Babak showed earlier today, this is just an example of the kind of collaboration site that we'll provision. It's the same kind of feature that we've had since 2012, where we'll on the initiation of a project or at a manual step, you can build a SharePoint site to help your team work together. Now we just do that in Office 365. We do that in Office 365 in a way also that lets all of this same timeline that we set up for our project be shown to all the team members, and the individual task lists also can be analyzed there. There's a lot of capabilities in Office 365 that can help the team collaborate, help you come in here and filter things down to your own tasks, mark them as complete, do all that management, be out there doing your work, getting things done, and being comfortable that you know it's based on the real plan that we're actually invoicing. The other thing that's going on here, of course, is reporting the actuals. So I'm just going to show you these really quickly in demo mode. There is a whole session on the mobile applications. But if I want to build a new timesheet here, and I've got my cycle sales, you can see here I've got cycle sales, BI implementation. So I've made a lot of progress here, and I'm able to quickly just take a review of this and submit that for approval. In the approvals app is kind of the other side of this. So this is the project manager receiving whether that's pretty much any approval workflow step that you've got in the system can be shown in here. If I look at a timesheet in particular, we can open that thing up, see all the details, see the comments, see a summary of how the time was spent on the various projects, take a look at the impact that the timesheet, which would be for my, this little tiny green slice shows me how much time is being put onto the project from this particular project. The budgeted hours is out here, and this is the amount consumed so far. So as I'm approving these timesheets, I can make sure that I'm not adversely impacting my project. And then to actually get some real time onto our project, because those are just demonstrations that I'm showing you, we're going to go into Enterprise Portal and enter one timesheet. So let's see here. So you'll remember Catherine was in our French subsidiary. So let me log on as Catherine. And here we're going to show the intercompany timesheet capabilities. So, and then we'll show how we can recognize that across legal entities. The mobile apps seemed to be a lot faster, didn't they? Okay. So Catherine's going to enter her timesheet. Actually, let's just go here. All right. Oops. Now you can see here the different legal entities that the French subsidiary has been enabled for entering projects. And we're going to choose our USSI legal entity. And then we'll see here our cycle sales and repair project. Now if you remember, when we started out, we said she's going to spend about 20 hours of time. Let's say it took a little longer. It took her all week. She worked 40 hours on it. Oops. So go ahead and submit that for approval. And then we've got some new things that need to be looked after from the maybe practice manager or somebody on the FRSI side. So at this point, those are now pending transactions for my project in USSI, but before they're going to be recognized on that project, I'm going to issue an intercompany invoice. So I'm going to switch modes into FRSI here. And let me first take a look at my timesheets. Okay, it looks like it's been approved. So let's go ahead and make our intercompany invoice. So we'll choose USSI as our customer and take a look and find our transactions that Catherine has entered and go ahead and submit our customer invoice. Meanwhile, back in the United States, we're going to receive this as a vendor invoice and post that to our project. So let's go ahead and let this guy complete. Sorry, this is so slow today. So if I go into here and look at my pending vendor invoices, I'll have seen that when the customer invoice is created on the lending company side, so the company who's lending the resources to our borrowing company, the corresponding vendor invoice is going to be created here on the USS side. So we'll go ahead and post that. Okay, so to recap there, we're in the throes of execution on our project. Our team is collaborating on our Office 365 site. They're entering their actuals and getting them approved using the mobile applications, and they're submitting, purchasing things and taking that cost onto the project. So we've actually done a part of the process here in terms of invoicing from the FRSI side. We've gone ahead and invoiced USSI. Now let's take the final step here and invoice the customer. So we're back in USSI. And where's my projects? Okay, so let's take a look at what we've got here. We've got our actual transactions that have come in from across the, actually, you know what I want to do first? We only accounted for sort of that one task of Catherine. And before we invoice our customer, let's also make sure that we put a little more on the project. So let's go ahead and just add a journal entry and put in let's say put in a couple of big weeks, 100 hours here, 100 hours here. Okay, so let's say that there was a whole bunch of other timesheets that were coming in during that period. And that's going to actually exceed the commitment that we made with the customer to cap things at $150,000. Okay, so let's go ahead and invoice the customer. And now we see we've got all our 100-hour items coming in. We've got Catherine's work that's been coming in. And we see that we're reconciling this with our advance that we originally had paid on the project. And we are also invoicing for the items that we have purchased. And so now if we look at the impact here, so all of our transactions have been added, and then we can see the invoice line amount is for $150,000, and it's going to take off the 10% that we took as an advance. We can see our retention of 10% has resulted in withholding $15,000 of the payment when we invoice it. So let's go ahead and post that. And then let's take a look at where we are in terms of this project. So I'm going to go ahead and look at my actual versus the budget and calculate this out. Oops. So you can see I've got $150,000 in revenue that have come in and all my costs and margins, and I'm making a decent $31,000 margin on this project. Okay. Oops. Okay, so that wraps us up on going through the flow of things. So let's just recap the individual features and where you can go learn some more about these. So we've got a session on CRM integration. So if you want more details about the mechanics there, how you tie the two things together, what's flowing back and forth and all this kind of stuff, please go check that out. Just after lunch, we have more in-depth details on project planning. So that would cover both the Microsoft project integration and the new work breakdown structure. We have a session on resource management that'll go into, what is a team, what are roles, what are skills, how do you apply them on your project, and all that kind of stuff. We have a session on the mobile applications. So if you want to build new mobile applications or deploy these and use these in your environment or learn what platforms are supported and all that kind of stuff, that's where you should go. We've got the new budgeting improvements. So I didn't show our monitoring process. Actually, I can do that if we'll take some questions and see if we can go back there. But we saw the progress views for cost tracking and effort tracking in the keynote today. So these progress views we'll also cover in the planning session this afternoon. We didn't look at the new budgeting improvements we've got for the budget balances form that lets you look flexibly how your budget's being consumed, whether you want to look at that by category or transaction type or various other different views that we've got there. And then we've got a session on intercompany billing, and you can learn all the details about how to set that up and how to configure your transfer prices and control that intercompany invoicing process. So I hope that gives you an overview of the new capabilities that we've got in CU7/R3. It's a brief and shallow view of what we've got so far. And I'd just go ahead and open it up for any questions or comments, and maybe invite you guys to come up if you want to, or I'll defer to you if I need some support there. But let's just open it up. Yeah. Yep. Actually, I'm not sure about so there the existing do from intercompany postings that you can do to manage intercompany transactions. I believe it's actually still in the product, but. Okay. I would definitely go see Gabriel and Adele to get the details on the intercompany features. They'll be the best folks to help you out. I'm not sure of the details. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, the collaboration capabilities are impressive, but what if you don't have Windows 8? So the collaboration capabilities themselves really are Office 365. So if we look at our focus on SharePoint and Office 365, that's really available on any platform. So you see continued investments from the Office team on making mobile experiences on different platforms, and certainly there's a first-class web application capability that's supported across all browsers. So that's a great story for collaboration. In terms of the mobile applications, if you're not on Windows 8, then you do have your Windows Phone, iOS, and Android for the time and expense entry. And then there's email-based approvals. So obviously any email-capable machine will be able to receive the email and perform the approvals that way. Other than that, I guess those are the offerings we have. Yeah?
So there is a hard requirement for Office 365?
No. So the question is there a hard requirement for Office 365? So SharePoint, the collaboration site capability has been there actually since 2012. We're adding things, and the two things we've really added this time is one, let's let you provision those sites in Office 365, and number two, let's publish the project in a way that facilitates the task list getting populated. That is only supported on Office 365, but the basic collaboration site capability is available for on-premise deployments. Yeah? Actually, SharePoint Enterprise on-prem does have the task list functionality, but we are not supporting it in R3. So the task synchronization only is available when you're using Office 365, and that has to do with the way that Enterprise Portal works. But if those are barriers, let us know.
Follow up on that?
Yeah.
Just to clarify how that integration would work. Projects syncs. You can start with a task list of 365 projects, right? Then promote that into a Microsoft project plan, have that sync back.
That's right.
And promote that into project service. Well, if you're ultimately now,
Yeah.
if you're starting with AX, you're starting with an AX what project, and then managing that and syncing that to Microsoft project, and syncing that to a task list on SharePoint. So, what's the entry point there? Do you need to do it starting with AX, or if you're already in a task list environment?
So basically, we're using the project client functionality as that's what's really putting the tasks into the task list. So you can start either way. You can start with an existing work breakdown structure like I did here and say, open up this in project, and when I save it, the task link will be synced. Or you can start on SharePoint and say, open this in project, and then say, publish to an existing project in AX. So the link can go either way. Yeah. Yeah.
If you issue the PO, you do that on a project management project.
Yeah.
If you issue POs, you can project management.
Sure. I mean, the standard purchasing functions of AX outside of the project module. Actually, I've never. Can you talk to that? So, what's the scenario there?
Well, I mean, so that way you don't have to jump. If
Yeah.
you have to issue a whole series of POs, you don't have to go from one project
Yeah.
to the next.
Well, the project POs you can access through just the standard PO list page, right? So, yeah.
And that would also suggest AP as well.
Okay, are there location as a search criteria for a role? That's a great idea. So we do have both legal entity and department. So department might be a proxy for location in many cases. I could imagine that you could set up, some skills that correlate to that, but there's no like find me the nearest or kind of functions like that. Well, I'll tell you. So we have focus room this afternoon and throughout the week. We definitely, our plans, we're looking to you to help form what those plans would be and where are the big ticket items, the things that we need to do versus the things that are fine as customizations or add-ons, the things that we need to build into the core product. So it's a great feature, and actually it plays on a lot of strengths that we have, so I really like the feature, and we could consider it, but there's no plans that I'm aware of yet. Yeah? So the question is, do we have a story for subcontracting? We certainly have we have a story in that we have purchase orders, but we don't have something right now that's like integrated into the work breakdown structure that would, for instance, be able to say, I'm going to farm out this component of the work, and I want to have dependencies between the subcontractor delivery and all that sort of stuff. So basically what I did in terms of making a PO, you could do obviously for any services that are rendered on the project and recognize the costs and invoice them that way. But we don't have a subcontract story that's built into the project planning capabilities. Yeah?
Just trying to understand if we have a project with sub-projects, I was trying that feature actually to import to the next project.
Yeah. Well, so the story on sub-projects with Microsoft Project Client integration is that it's just one-to-one. So each project can be associated with a linked Microsoft project. You can edit it in one world or the other world, not intermixed. And there's no built-in support for sub-projects. So they should independently work, right? Each node. So certainly there's features on the Microsoft Project Client side for supporting sub-projects and linking workbooks together and all that, all that good stuff. And there are things we could imagine there in terms of, you could say, oh, I should be able to open up the Microsoft project and it gets the whole hierarchy. There's lots of different ways that you can imagine that, but what we've got right now is one project gets you one project client file. Yeah?
How many levels work breakdown structure supports?
How many levels does the work breakdown structure support? I know that in the UI we can say go to level 1, 2, 3, 4, up to 9. I believe there's no practical limit. I don't believe there's a practical limit. So you can build a fancy tree as deep as you like. Yes? Procurement categories in the work breakdown structure when you're doing like item estimations? Yeah. Yes. So you can use, well, the sales category, right? No, but if the project category is item, then you can either use an item number or you can use a category. Yes. Yes. Okay, let's take one or two more questions and then we'll wrap up. There is a whole session on BI. I know they're doing some neat stuff with PowerView. You can go check that out. I think it's on Wednesday. We do have a new EVM chart. I could show that to you real quick. Just basically is showing your planned value versus your earned value. We'll look at that this afternoon in that session as well. Anything else from that area? I think your best bet there is the analytics session on Wednesday. What features are we working on? Right now, I can tell you what we're working on. We're working on these features. Because this is not shipped yet. We're performance, bugs, stability, all this sort of stuff. Of course, we have a long time horizon of things we're thinking about and planning for the future. I would encourage you to come to the focus room this afternoon. I've got one. There's several all week. And we can talk a little more openly about like some of the ideas that we have, some of the things that we're pursuing. But if you think about it, some of those pillars and those guiding principles, collaboration and mobility, those are big things that we've bet on in this release. That would be something we continue to look at. Global organization support and a general move, from accounting only to accounting plus operations. Those are some of the themes that we are thinking about. You see the industry focuses that we have in terms of sub-verticals. And from that, these kinds of events, whether it's here, whether it's at Convergence, the more interaction we can have from you guys to help us pick through what you're hearing out in the marketplace certainly helps with that. Okay, one more question. One more question. Who won the Super Bowl? Oh, yeah, Seahawks. Okay, thanks, everybody, for your time, and have a great tech conference.